Hello everyone. In the previous video, I demonstrated from the Quran that everything that is happening between the Israelites and the Palestinians is actually right there in the Quran. In fact, the events that started unfolding since 1947 are all happening according to what the Prophet informed us 1400 years ago in the Quran. So I'm sure the question that is in all our minds right now is that how is this going to end? What is the final outcome? What is going to happen? And that is the topic of this video. So today I have two pieces of news for you. One is a good news and one is a bad news. The bad news is that this is going to get much worse. And the good news is at the end, the justice is going to prevail. So let's look at verse number 56 of chapter 43. I went over this verse last time. I'm going to go over it one more time just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. But I'm going to put the link for the previous video down there in the description and up there at the right hand corner. And please watch that video if you have not watched it yet. فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ سَلَفًا وَمَثَلًا لِلْآخِرِينَ. And we made them who? Pharaoh and his army and the Egyptians a precedent, a predecessor, and an example or a similar case for the people of the end time, those of the end. Here they have translated as later peoples, but literally what it means is this, is people of the end time, those of the end. Our Creator is telling us that what happened between the Israelites and Pharaoh and his army and the Egyptians is a similar case, is a precedent to what is going to happen at the end times. And I explained that in the previous video. I'm going to very quickly, briefly go over it right now. Just like the Israelites were of different ethnicity and of different religion, right now the Palestinians who are of different ethnicity and different religion are living under the protection of the state of Israel in what is known today as the Holy Land. They are living in very specific area, Gaza, West Bank, those two areas. And just like the Israelites had been enslaved by the Egyptians and they were in concentration camps and open air prisons, the Palestinians also are literally in concentration camp and open air prisons where they have no control over their movements or their future. This has been going on since 1947. However, things are a little bit more complicated now, because before the conflict was just between the Israelites and the Egyptians. But now each of these groups have their own allies and supporters. For example, the Israelites have the entire Western world, namely America, England, Germany, and France supporting them. And Palestinians have the Muslim world, mostly Arab countries, Turkey and Iran supporting them. So it's a similar case at a much larger scale. And I did mention that in the previous video, we went over the verses that Allah sent Moses and Aaron to the Israelites in order to purify their religion and create a community of the true believers. And then as soon as there is this community of the true believers, then it becomes incumbent, mandatory on Allah and His angels to intervene and help and support and save that community of the true believers. So that's what Allah did. Now, we are in the end times, and in this case, it's going to be the exact same thing. Allah is going to send His messenger that He has promised to establish a community of the true believers. So let's look at the Quran chapter 44 together And you're going to see that clearly laid out for us over there. Before I start discussing these verses, these are secrets, prophecies that have been hidden for 1400 years. And I am unveiling that for you with Allah's permission. So listen carefully. Open your eyes, open your ears, and open your hearts. Hopefully, God willing, your Lord will guide you to the right way. Let's look at verse number 10 of chapter 44, and we are going to go down. It says, فَارْتَقِبْ يَوْمَ تَأْتِ السَّمَاءُ بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ. Watch for the day that the sky will bring forth a visible, a plainly visible, it's completely visible smoke. The word Allah uses here is mubin. Mubin means something that you can see. It's right in front of your eyes. You can see this thing. Then it says, يَغْشَ النَّاسِ هَذَا عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Enveloping the people, covering mankind. The entire world will be covered by this thick smoke. So what has happened here? Allah's messenger has come here. Allah's messenger has warned mankind. And Allah's messenger has told the people, the United Nations, the international community, the powerful countries in the world, that back off. Leave Allah's servants, the community of the believers, alone. However, the world has rejected the servant of the Lord, his messenger. So Allah is punishing the world just like he punished the Egyptians, only at much larger scale. This is going to be a universal punishment. The entire world will be enveloped and covered with this thick smoke. What does that mean? Nobody can see the light. It's a severe punishment, and this most probably will be due to a huge asteroid or a heavenly body hitting the earth. So how do people react? At this point, people start praying. It says, Rabbana, our Lord, Rabbana kshif anna al-adhab. Our Lord, remove this punishment from us. Inna mu'minun. We believe. So people are saying at this point that we are going to believe if you remove this punishment from us, we are going to believe. And that's exactly what Egyptians used to say to Moses, that if you pray to your Lord and your Lord remove this punishment, we are going to believe. But as soon as Allah would remove the punishment from the Egyptians, they would plunge back into their disbelief again. And that's exactly what happens. What does Allah tells us? أَنَّا لَهُمُ الذِّكْرَى. It means, how can they be reminded? How can they learn? وَقَدْ جَاءَهُمْ رَسُولٌ مُبِينٌ. And definitely came to them a visible messenger. Rasulun Mubin, a messenger that was visible, that was evident. They could see this messenger with their own eyes, just like the smoke. 3 verses above, we talked about the smoke. What did Allah say about the smoke? It says, Bedukhanin Mubin. It's the exact same Mubin is being used here for the messenger. Why? Because Allah wants us to know that just like you could see the smoke in the end time enveloping the world, you could also see this messenger. It's a mubin messenger. It means a messenger that is evident, that everyone can see with their own eyes. It's not like the person existed 1400 years ago. It's a mubin. It's a visible. It's a clear. It's an evident messenger that the entire world will see with their own eyes. On their phones, in the screens, they will hear him. And he's Allah's messenger of the covenant, his promised servant that will come. But let me show you tahrif. Here they have translated as a messenger explaining things clearly, even though right up here it's the exact same word. Mubin is just like the word that was used before, but here they have translated as what? Plainly visible. So what changed? Why did you change that translation from plainly visible up there in verse number 10 to explaining things clearly in verse number 13? They are literally like two verses different from each other. So if that is plainly visible, this is plainly visible as well. And that is what tahrif is. But let's go back, look at the rest of this story, because it gets even more interesting and informative as we move forward. Allah's messenger is going to warn them, is going to warn mankind and powerful nations. The world is going to reject him and say about him, ثُمَّ تَوَلُّوا عَنْهُ وَقَالُوا مُعَلَّمٌ مَجْنُونَ. Says they will turn away from him and they will say, مُعَلَّمٌ مَجْنُونَ. So what does mu'allam means? Mu'allam means someone who has been taught, someone who is very educated. So when you go to school, you are being taught. When you go to university, you are being taught. So mu'allam means an educated person, a very educated person who has gone insane, who is crazy. So what does that teach us about Allah's messenger of the covenant? That he's going to be a highly educated man who will be accused of being crazy and insane. So people reject him, mankind rejects him, and Allah punishes the world with an enveloping smoke that covers the entire earth. Then people cry and say, remove that punishment, we will believe. What will Allah do at this point? Verse number 15 tells us, it says, إِنَّا كَاشِفُ الْعَذَابِ قَلِيلًا إِنَّكُمْ عَائِدُونَ. We will remove the punishment for a little while. Truly you will revert, you will return. إِنَّكُمْ عَائِدُونَ. You will come back. You will revert to your ways. But most importantly, their armies come back. So it's a standoff at this point. So when the punishment comes, they leave, they go back. They're like, we believe we are going to leave you alone at this point. They go back, but for a little while. After Allah removes the punishment, they will again come back. Because remember, their hearts are of stone. Just like today, we are seeing it. These people are watching women and children day in and day out being killed. But to them, it's as if nothing has happened. It's because their hearts are of stone. They don't feel the suffering of human beings, regardless of what their religion is, regardless of what their ethnicity is. It's all about their interest as opposed to justice, as opposed to human suffering. So Allah will remove the punishment for a little while. They go away, but then they come back again with vengeance, trying to destroy the community of the true believers. And that's when Allah will respond. It says, يَوْمَ نَبْتِشُ الْبَتْشَةَ الْكُبْرَى إِنَّا مُنْتَقِمُونَ. On the day that we shall seize you with a mighty onslaught, with a mighty attack. And this is when Isa, son of Maryam, Jesus Christ, will descend at the head of the angelic army, at the head of the host of heaven, together with Allah's archangel, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael, the mighty ones of the Lord, that they will descend in support of the community of the true believers at the end time, in support of Allah's promised messenger of the covenant. And the destruction on that day will be second to none. The book of Ezekiel describes that destruction. Eventually, justice will prevail on this earth once and for all, and wars will cease to the end of the earth. And just so you make sure that this is going to be a similar case to what happened between the Egyptians and the Israelites, Allah in the next verse tells us, وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا قَبْلَهُمْ قَوْمَ فِرْعَوْنَ. And we did before them try the people of Pharaoh, وَجَاءَهُمْ رَسُولٌ كَرِيمٌ. And there came to them an honorable, a noble messenger, a messenger that is noble. Remember, Moses is the one Allah talked to. So Moses is a noble messenger. But when Allah was talking about his messenger of the covenant, he calls him Rasulun Mubin. It means a visible messenger, a messenger that the entire world will see, a messenger that will be recorded in the videos, in pictures. So everyone in the world will see this messenger, from the time of his appearance and after. He's not going to be like Moses, like Muhammad and other messengers that we don't know how they look like. This messenger will be seen, everybody will see him, and we will know how he looks like, if this happens in our day and age. So what was the message of Moses? And addu alayya ibad Allah, and restore to me, leave the servants of Allah, leave the community of believers with me. Back off, get away, we don't need you. And it came with a warning, Inni lakum rasulun amin, I am to you a trustworthy messenger. I'm giving you the messages of Allah. If you don't do this, if you don't back off, you're going to be dealing with Allah and his host of heaven. فَأَلَّا تَعْلُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنِّي آتِيكُمْ بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ, and do not be superior, do not be haughty, do not be above the law against Allah, for I come to you with clear authority. وَإِنِّي أُعُوذُ بِرَبِّي وَرَبِّكُمْ أَن تَرْجُمُونَ, I seek refuge with my Lord and your Lord that you might stone me to death, that you might kill me. So Allah is telling us in these verses that they are going to try to kill Allah's messenger of the covenant as well. And it says, وَإِن لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا لِي فَاعْتَزِلُونَ, and if you don't believe me, then let me be. Leave me alone. فَدَعَوْا رَبَّهُ أَنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ قَوْمٌ مُجْرِمِينَ. He prayed to his Lord and said, these are a criminal people that have committed so many crimes. And then it says, we saved the Israelites from a humiliating punishment. من فرعون, we saved them from Pharaoh. إِنَّهُ كَانَ عَالِيًا مِنَ الْمُسْرَفِينَ. He was one of the superior ones, arrogant ones, those that are above the law. They are renegades. They do whatever they want. So my brothers and sisters, we are living in the end times. We are living in Allah's prophecy. And we are living in the book of our Creator. And everything that is happening is according to His plan. And this is exactly why Allah has hardened the hearts of these people, so they commit these genocides and massacres, and they don't even feel it. And as much as I would love to see Allah's messenger of the covenant, and as much as I would love to embrace him in my arms, as much as I love to see Isa, son of Maryam, who will descend, and as much as I love to embrace him and shed the tears of joy from seeing the faces of these two chosen servants of our Lord, I don't think I want to go through the difficulties of those days. I don't think I want to witness that, because there is going to be difficult days ahead. Very difficult days. So now you should understand the meaning of this verse. فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ سَلَفًا وَمَثَلًا لِلْآخِرِينَ. And we made the Egyptians, we made Pharaoh, his army and the Egyptian, a precedent, a predecessor, and a similar case for the people at the end time. So just like Allah destroyed the army of Pharaoh, Allah will destroy armies of the nations at the end time when they all gather together to annihilate the community of the true believers that will form in those times. And the only safe and secure place in those days will be Jordan, which will be a safe sanctuary for the believers. I have several videos on that. I will put those videos in the description. Peace and blessings to all of you.